you, and the other side wants to try to discredit you before you even get started. I find out when you're really strong on something, they go after your credentials, or they go after how many times you've been in court, or they try to find something to get the judge to throw you out because they can't fight what you did.
It's very, that's a very interesting observation. You know, that's a good point, by the way, too. We should talk about it just for a second. Before you give your opinion, so the way it works at trial is there's a courtroom.
Judge, usually. Judge.
There's a person who wears a dress called a judge, and then and you know the layout really. You know, the judge really does sit up there, and there's a witness stand, and you go and you sit there. And there might be, if there's a jury, there's a place where they sit on the side, right? So that's really the layout of a courtroom, and you've seen them on TV if you haven't been in one. But the thing is, when you go and give your opinion, the lawyer that retained you will start by asking you some questions. Those questions are going to be about your background, and what the lawyer has to do before you can give your opinion, because you're chomping at the bit. You know, you want to give your opinion, I want to give my opinion, but before you can do that, you have to be, and here's the words, there's another Jeopardy sort of thing. You have to be qualified as an expert. That's what they call it. You have to get qualified as an expert, right? And if you are not qualified as an expert, your day's going to be a lot shorter than you were planning, and maybe you have an appraisal you could do back in the office, something like that, because you're not going to be doing any more court work that day. So you need to be qualified. If you're not qualified, you go home. So the way it works is something like this. Sir, tell me what your credentials are. Madam, tell me what your credentials are. How many times have you testified before a court in this jurisdiction? How many times have you rendered an opinion? And what's your educational background? What's your experience? Now, if you're licensed and everything is up to date, generally speaking, that's all you have to do. Really. Right, Chuck? You've never seen anything different than that. Engineers are the same way. Anybody that has a license or a certificate, or anybody that has any kind of state recognition, you know, as a lawyer, if I'm brought in as an expert in a case, and I've done it, I'm a lawyer, I have a Juris Doctorate degree, and I'm licensed in Jersey, that's generally all I need. But it could be more than that. I
mean, the only situation where probably a licensure wouldn't be enough is if you're an engineer, you're a civil engineer, and you're going in to testify about chemical engineering. Yeah. I mean, where it's totally another field. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, usually.
Yeah, and with you guys, generally, you're going to be fine unless the opinion that you're providing, that you're offering, is in a very, very narrow, discrete, very limited kind of way, where maybe only a few appraisers have anything to do with it. The other area could be something like this. If you're from North Jersey, you know, and you're being asked to give an opinion in Cape May, with a lot of wetlands and tidelands and CAFRA issues, you might have a little bit of an issue. But let me tell you, normally even then you're not, because this is the thing. In that case, normally what would happen is the lawyer for the other side would ask that you not be qualified, and 9 out of 10 times, here's the answer. You ready? Because when you hear this, I want you to say, that Lieberman, he was good. He knew what he was doing. The answer is, he is or she is qualified and can offer an opinion, but that goes to weight of the testimony. Weight of the testimony. That means, in other words, yes, this person meets the minimal requirements to offer an opinion as an expert, but because of what you're saying, this is a Bergen County appraiser talking about tidelands in Cape May County, maybe we're not going to weigh that testimony all that much. And maybe we're going to be more likely to believe the Middle Township. By the way, we have to go to Middle Township, literally, right after this. Right after this thing, we have to go literally to Middle Township for a year. But so maybe we're more likely to believe the Middle Township appraiser, which is down in Cape May County, who does Tidelands work every single day and was on the Tidelands Council as its chairman for 14 years. You know, something like that. Right. So that the answer normally is going to be, yes, the person's admitted, but this might go, and they go, might go, because they can't prejudge it, right, to the weight. And when they say that, you know you probably lost. So that could already be like start wrapping up, or maybe eat your lunch quickly or something, because it's not going to be a long day. When they might go to credibility, they're signaling. That's a signal. They're not saying to you, but that's usually a signal, If I'm a lawyer and I hear the judge say that about my expert, I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be good. Now look, let me tell you something else, by the way. If you are doing expert work, and I want you to all do expert work, it's nice. Okay, if you're doing expert work, if you are not qualified, in other words, if you're brought in on a case and you're not qualified, it hurts you. It hurts you because in subsequent cases, when the lawyer is asking you questions on cross-examination, one of the questions usually is, sir or ma'am, have you ever been not qualified? You've been offered as an expert but not qualified. If it's once or twice, it's okay. If it's 14 or 15 times, you start not looking good. That starts to get a little poisonous. And then your career as an expert might sort of be on the wrong end. You might start having to do something else, like selling hot tubs at night or something. But so that you don't want to be in a situation where you're not qualified too often. That means be careful. Don't take assignments unless you really can do it, unless you really have the background. Be careful, because you don't want to be in a position where a judge doesn't qualify you because of your experience or education. With you guys, it's not going to happen too often, because basically as long as you have the whatever the state requires from you, you're going to be fine. So generally that's going to be the way it is. So just keep that in mind though. Another thing I could tell you is, as an expert, you are going to be, and the gentleman in the red sort of referred to this a little bit back before, you are judged as an expert on your successes before too. So when you're deposed, after you give your report and they're taking your deposition, they're going to ask you about some of the cases you've done and how did it go. And if a lot of times it didn't go your way but the other guy's way, it starts to not look so good either. So the way you control that, and you want to maintain your value as an expert. You want to be the go-to expert in your field, wherever you are, your geographic area or the discrete type of work you're doing appraisals for. You want to be, if you're building this part of your practice, you want to be the go-to person. The go-to person's not the one that always loses. The go-to, unless you have a lawyer who always loses, in which case you're perfect, but it's a limiting sort of way to build your practice. That's all, So anyway, that's basically where we are. What is that, dude?
We can move past a couple because we.
I love that one, though. I got to move this
you
one?
you want it down? Okay.
No, it's
No, let's see that.
No, I didn't like that one. You made me do that one. Yeah, okay.
We did qualification.
So where are we then? Where do you want me to go?
We just did qualification.
Okay.
Go to the next one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So qualification. Would we do qualification?
Sure, if you want. Yeah.
You promised we could do it. Don't you remember you promised?
Yeah.
So qualifications of an expert. So one of my favorite cases in the entire world, Korea versus Cruisers in the First Circuit. Everybody knows where the First Circuit. So the federal courts are divided in different areas, and this is one part called the First Circuit. A witness is called to testify about the defectiveness of a marine engine's fuel management system, and although education was lacking, an experience of 20 years in the marine fuel, in the fuel injection business qualified him. So what this gets to is this. Experts are qualified really based on two things. I know there's a list of them, but there's really, two things that matter, right? Either your educational background or your experience. That's really what it is. And in New Jersey, they like both. Really, the ones that really get that do the best and have little problem in terms of a judge letting them in, you really have both. You're an appraiser. Listen. Let's say that you are a licensed appraiser here in New Jersey and you've been doing it for 2 days. Well, all of you were in that position once. Probably the second day of your career, I would figure. Why is that? No, but you were licensed for 2 days. So that's right. But that's right. No, well, lawyers did have it, and that's what Abe Lincoln, I think he was. But